Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Z Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at this game right here, which I believe is pronounced Rivage, which means in English, shores or coast. In it, you are going to be marking off spaces on various islands you are traversing, trying to get the most victory points. You'll do that from various things you are doing. This is a roll and write style game without the rolling. You're actually drafting cards, you mark some things off, and then your hand of cards with those special abilities will pass to the next player, and you'll get a new hand letting you mark off new things. Let me go ahead and show you how this works. It's a fairly simple game, but it's easier to see what's going on. And then we'll come on back. I'll tell you what I think of it. The game's going to be played over many simultaneous turns until we get to the bottom of this deck, the purple cards that will signify the last turn. We'll finish that one out, and then we score, and whoever has the most of these scrolls is going to be the winner of the game. So everybody gets one starting island randomly dealt to them. You're going to put that in front of yourself, and everybody gets two of these cards also randomly dealt. So I'll have my two, and here I'm simulating a game with three players, so everybody would have two themselves. And we are pretty much ready to begin. So these cards are going to show me various things I am allowed to mark off on my board, and the board itself shows me different land types as well as objectives at the bottom that I'm trying to achieve to get bonuses. Many of them simply points, but sometimes other rewards, like this reward here being a pull from this bag, giving me a treasure, a goodie. So everybody gets a dry erase marker, and we are off and running. So every turn, again, simultaneously, the players are going to look at their two cards in hand, and they're going to select the top line that has yet to be marked off from either one of the cards. We also need to, before I do anything, everybody needs to select which of the two boats on the island they are going to begin at. And you can see your cards before you do this. So let's say I do this one, okay? I'm going to cross that little boat off. And then we begin. So I'm going to select from these two cards, and my opponents are doing this on their own. They cannot see my cards. I'm going to select this top line right here. And I'm going to mark off two of these and mark off two of these. And then perhaps I will mark off this yellow and do this one. And then the white spaces that have a symbol can be marked off with anything. So I'm going to mark off this yellow, and I'm going to cross off that scroll there, getting me a victory point. Put this in front of me. So there we go. I am done. Once everyone's done, I'm going to take these two cards and I'm going to pass them to my opponent to my left, and I'll be getting two cards from the opponent to my right, with obviously one of these two lines having already been crossed off by them. So this is what I'm receiving. And then I'll take a look at this, and I'll do the same thing. You'll notice that it's not always a line that has terrain. Sometimes it's symbols, and those symbols correspond to special abilities. And you'll see them sometimes on your islands as well. They're fairly simple. They're shown here on the back of the map, but basically it is the telescope is cross off anything that is legal, meaning connected to something you've crossed off already. If you get the little Tree of Wisdom fella here, then you mark off a space on this card. Everybody has one of these. If you play on the A side, they're all identical. But if you play on the B side, then they're all a little bit different, okay? And that's going to move you up, give you victory points and all that. And then a few other special abilities you might see. So it's right on the back of the rule book there. And so I will select, again, the top line from either card, meaning this line or this line right here. I don't know, I'll do this one. 1, 2, 3 there, and I'll do 1, 2, which is mark anything. And for the third one, I'll do this one now, which is, again, mark off anything. And I'll mark off this one, okay? And so what am I trying to do here? Well, I'm trying to get victory points by achieving these goals at the bottom. This one says if I complete 2 full areas of green, I'm going to get 3 victory points. If I complete the full area in yellow, I'm going to get 1 victory point. If I complete another one, I get 2 victory points for that. This one here in the middle says if I get to one of these huts, I get to pull from the bag, and they'll have treasure tokens in there that give you all sorts of little bonuses. And if you never use it, it's worth a victory point anyway. If I complete the other one, I get 2 points. And I'm going to continue working on this island, doing various things, marking off whatever I want, until I mark off the other boats. At that moment, I will put this aside and I'll draw a new island, select one of the 2 boats, and start from there, okay? Now, these cards are eventually going to be finished. And if you ever receive one that is completely crossed out, so say I've passed this hand and I get a new one from this neighbor, I look at it, and one of the cards is fully completed, then I get rid of that card, we discard that, and I draw a new one, and I, again, select one of the 2 top lines to mark on my board. That's pretty much how the game's going to work. This is going to continue until, like I said, we get to the bottom, go through these, with the amount of cards here being based on the number of players. So with 3, you shuffle in the ones that say 3+. And at the end of the game, you're also going to get a little bonus for having traversed the most islands, the most of these. The person who did it the most gets 4 points, second most gets 2. If you're playing with fewer players, only 2, then you use that side of the tile. But that's pretty much that. Obviously, all of these are different, and they're all going to have sort of different little things you're trying to achieve. This one, you need to mark off these 5 places that have a bolt, or you're trying to surround these black castles, is what that means. And so if you surround everything around one of them, you get that. The other one, you get that. There's all sorts of stuff. There's bridges as well, and they're simply connected to where they go. So there's those as well. I'm not going to show you all of them, but you're getting the idea here that they are they're varied, and there are many of them, as you can see right there. So that is how the game works. Whoever has the most points is the winner. So a couple of things I like first. Let's begin with the things I enjoy about the game. Well, I love the look of the game. I think it's gorgeous. It has this bright, popping artwork. The whole thing looks bubbly and cartoony and incredibly welcoming. So I think the look is fantastic. I like the idea of a roll and write style game in which what you're doing is a little bit different than I've seen in the past. This sort of passing the hand, getting to select one of 2 things, and then as those cards fill up, you get rid of them and you draw a new one. That's also the clock in the game. So I enjoy the way that works out. I like the different little special abilities of the islands. I enjoy that in some of them you're trying to connect things in sequence. First here, then here, then here. In some of them you have to surround the little black castles. In some of them you have to mark off every space that has a whatever on it. So I like that they feel a little bit different, and it does put me in the mindset of like a cutesy little video game in which I jump in my little boat, and I sail to a new island, and I get to see what it looks like and traverse and do some fun things in there. So the whole thing comes across in an incredibly approachable way, and I think it does that, marking off and enjoying your own pleasant time very well. It is a pleasant game. Coupled with that are a couple of things I didn't enjoy as much. The game can be a little bit fiddly. You are passing around cards that have dry erase marking on them, so you need to be careful that you're not smudging things while you hand them off, as you take new things as you hand them off. So you have to be careful about that. There's also, at the end of the game, a whole lot of cleaning up you're going to have to do. You have gone through a whole stack of cards, possibly as big as that, right? And you have to mark all of those off, unless you do it during the game, I suppose. And then all the islands. You got to mark all of them off. I thought the bonus for traversing the most islands, this bonus here, where in a game with between 3 and 5 players, whoever went through the most islands or has marked at least one space on the most islands gets 4 points. Second player gets 2 points. This is not that interesting. It would not necessarily make me rush from one island to the next in order to get 4 points. It just doesn't seem that strong. I thought this, and it ends up in a lot of ties anyway. So I found this to feel lackluster to me. I didn't enjoy that very much. I do, on the other hand, like these little boards, the little temples here. The A sides are all the same, but then the B sides I thought were really interesting, and I like the way that comes across. I thought that gave you a little something different to do, and I like grabbing these special baggies and being able to trigger those for the special ability on the back, or you can hang on to it for a victory point. I like the way that comes across as well. The main negative for me, I think, would have to be, though, that the game is incredibly solitaire, and while I realize you are, passing the cards around, what I get from you, the choices you made will affect me. Of course, you could go ahead and look ahead, see which things I need, and then make sure you take a line that, would have benefited me. You can do those things. But in practice, it comes across where I have my 2 cards, I put my head down, I mark some things off, I reach for this bag, and I grab a token. I grab a couple of scrolls because I made some victory points. And then I wait and everybody's done. I give you 2 cards. I take 2 from over here and I do it again. There's very little interaction in this game. You're just not... It does not have that central touchstone that I think a lot of good roll and write, X and write type games do, in which everybody comes back to the center of the table at the end of every turn for a cyclical thing. That idea of somebody rolls a handful of dice and you get to watch. Everybody's sort of connected at the center of the table. And then, yes, you go off or maybe draft and do a little something. And then you all come back to the center of the table. This one doesn't have that feeling. And I think I do miss it a little bit because it's very simple. It's very easy, I should say, to fall into a rhythm of I don't care what anybody else is doing, to fall into that mindset. And I try to avoid that in roll and writes because it is so incredibly easy to do. So this one, unfortunately, doesn't really help that feeling. If that doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. I find it to be a little problematic, and because the game feels so beautiful, it's so captivating, it's so gorgeous. I want to invest and share the look of everything with everyone. I want to go, ooh, islands and beautiful things, but we barely communicate. However, I enjoy the game. I think it's a really neatly, cleverly put together, draft and write. I don't know what you call this, but and traversing the islands, marking things off, finding fun little combos in which I cross off the telescope, the looking glass, and then I mark something off that gets me one of these, and that lets me mark off 2 other places. These cascading moments are pretty fun in this one. So yeah, I got a couple of issues with the game, but overall, I like it. This one's going to get a 7.5 out of 10 from me. That's a seal of approval, and it's one I certainly recommend if you are looking for one of these X and write type games that works for the whole family, that is going to be very attractive, and that you are not going to worry too much about interacting or worry too much about maybe playing all the time and the game getting a little bit samey, because it can feel somewhat samey if you play a lot of this one. This is one that I think will come off the shelf. It will brighten your day. It'll put a smile on your face. And then after 30 minutes or so, you can put it away for a while and not really think of it very much. That's fine. If you enjoy that kind of roll and write, then I think you're going to enjoy this one. And I do like it. It's just, I wish some of those things were a little bit stronger. So that's going to do it, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in and checking this out with me. My name is Z Garcia, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.
Looks really clean and lovely and well put together. The second thing that caught my eye was that it looks like Wingspan.
Yeah, it definitely feels bigger than a deck of cards.
Yeah.